every Friday, we go live with our Friday Club. That's why it's called the Friday Club and why we go live on a Friday. And every single week, myself, Victoria, and Odessa bring in a wonderful guest. This week, we talk to the amazing, positive Andy Mullaney. What a lovely guy. And you'll find out even more when you start chatting to him. We do the word of the week. We also find out what we've been up to all week, and we involve the audience as well. So if you want to be involved, just join us every single Friday at 12 o'clock on my profile on LinkedIn. So that's Ashley Leeds on LinkedIn, and you can find us. We're also on YouTube too. So without any further hesitation, let's have a listen to hear what Mr. Andy has got to say. It's Friday again! I cannot believe it's Friday already. Where did that week go? Here we are. We're back again. This week we've got a guest, but let's get in the rest of the team. Here's Victoria. Where is she? Oh, she's there.
Hello,
Victoria. How are you? How have you been this week?
Oh my God. I'm good. I'm really good. I've got a cup of tea and I'm sorted and I'm ready for the next hour.
Fantastic. Let's see if we can find someone else. Here's Odessa. Hey, hello, ladies. Oh, it's so lovely to see you both. How are you doing?
Happy Friday.
Yeah, happy Friday indeed. And people are already coming in to say hello. Good afternoon, Miho, and the lovely Paul Seeley. Paul Seeley, are we going to see you next Thursday in Sidmouth, the Sidmouth local? That would be good. Yeah, so ladies, come on, tell us. Where are we? I've got a little thing here somewhere, haven't I? Where is it? Where is it? Here we go. Odessa, it's a question for you. What have you been up to this week?
That's a great question. I love it when you put me on the spot and ask me how my week has been, because as we know, my weeks are chaotic, to say the least. This week, I've had small people off with colds, so we have been cramming in work around attempting to keep people alive. But no, it's been good. It's we've got some business closed, which is good. A few things booked. Got a holiday to look forward to, which is always exciting. Except I've got to wait until next year. So yeah, it was I'm glad it's over week.
Okay. Well, it's not over until the end of the show, so
not over until it's over.
Anything can happen. So just how many small children did you start the week with?
So I started. So my week with the children starts on Wednesday. So I had one off. Then I had two off.
How many children did you start the week with? Whether that
three in general.
Three total. Yeah. And are they all still alive today?
Two of them are at school, so I hope so.
Yeah, perfect. So yeah, you've done your job. You've done your job. So question.
Very low bar.
Are they still alive?
Yeah. Question for Victoria. What have you been up to this week?
Wow. This week I've been working on business stuff and networking loads. And I have to apologise to the BIPC. I was meant to go yesterday evening and I was just so peopled out come the afternoon. I was zonked. I couldn't do any more. So yeah, I just done like back-to-back networking and one-to-ones yesterday.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good. What about me?
What about you?
Yeah, what about you? What have you been up to, Andy?
Hang on. What have you been up to this week?
Oh, here we go. He's claiming his allegiance to another country.
Well,
I don't know how I feel about this, Ashley.
No.
I'm not going to lie to you. I feel like you've defected.
What have I been up to this week?
Eating maple syrup.
Yeah, eating maple syrup. No, I've been to a couple of shows talking at different events. One of them was Legal Summit with Alternative Events on Monday. And then on Tuesday, I was up at Accountex Manchester. And this week, I've been allowed or enabled or whatever to announce that I am going to Accountex Canada.
Oh, Canada.
Isn't that crazy?
That's mad. That's so awesome.
Congratulations. How does Manchester compare to London?
Two totally different events.
For me, London's easy to get to, but Manchester's like 4 hours each way.
Yeah, but London's big. There's 11,000 people. There's loads going on. Yeah, so it's like Glastonbury. Yeah. Right. Manchester is like just one little concert, and it's in a small venue, and you know everybody. So
Okay.
two totally different things. Totally different things, but absolutely great fun. Have we got a guest this week?
We do. We have the first of our guests. Isn't this exciting?
Oh my goodness! Should we bring him in? Like we can see him. We can see him in the green room. He is beaming a smile. But is that a nervous smile, or is he excited to come in? Let's find out.
Hello.
Hey.
Hi guys.
Hi. Welcome, Andy.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and thank you so much for inviting me. You're gonna have to excuse me. I've got one of the colds. I think your team's got Odessa, so it's a little bit throaty, but I'm gonna do my best because I've got cough sweets and I've got all sorts of drinks and stuff like that lined up. So we're gonna get through this. We're gonna get through this.
Fantastic.
Amazing.
A positive mental attitude. Right. I am loving what you're wearing, man. Pink. Ladies, he's on brand, isn't he?
He is on brand.
You can
I've
come
got the memo.
again. You can come again. So
I would point out that doesn't mean all guests have to wear pink. It's just better if you do.
I got pink pants on, if that counts.
No, it does not count.
Mental image.
All right. Okay. Right, I got a question for you, Andy. What have you been up to this week?
I've been to loads of things. I'm starting to get myself back into circulation now after my operation 9 weeks ago. But a couple of highlights. Met up with some friends for coffee, but in particular met up with a couple of guys who I'm doing some coaching with, and we've got a session called Ignite Lead Transform that we've already run with 15 leaders. And we're developing it now, bespoking it into individual companies. It was a wonderful hour of normality where I wasn't talking to doctors or about medication and all sorts of stuff like that. So it was lovely to get back into something normal. Brilliant.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, Andy.
Okay,
and then what we'll do is we'll start digging into certain areas and finding out a little bit about you.
You dig deep. Now, 60 years old. No, you missed your cue to then say, Andy, you don't look.
Oh, sorry. You don't look at day over 28.
You cannot be 60. Wow.
So I'm 60 years old. I live in Stourbridge in the West Midlands, so hence the Black Country accent. Very proud Black Country lad. I had a 35-year career with Lloyds Bank. I'm married to Catherine, who I met on the very first day that I started in the bank, 17th of August, 1982. That was in Stourbridge. Yeah, love her. We still, she's just my rock. She's the Isle of Man. You can't shift her. She's just brilliant. I love her so much. And I've got two amazing kids, James who's 24 and Sarah who's 28. So both of them are. Sarah's a writer. James he's an accountant. So I think the big change for me, I could talk about Lloyds Bank all day, but to be quite honest,
please don't.
Other banks are available.
Because the best years of my career were the last 1.5, where I was on secondment to the Prince of Wales to business in the community, and I worked with the public and private and third sectors in Dudley. The bank gifted me away as they gifted 15 senior managers away, and let me go and play and be myself and just join loads of people together. And it's a job that changed my life because I stopped making the rich richer and I went into helping to make communities. The legacy project's now still going on 7 years later. And I'm incredibly proud of the way that everybody assisted me within the Black Country, and sort of like, we pulled a lot of people together, social enterprises. We kicked off a program with that ran for 3 years. And I learned a lot about myself as well. It was a life changer, and it's something that I'm just so incredibly proud of, and carries on to this day because it taught me about volunteering. It taught me about the importance of giving back, and giving back to my community and to the communities around the country. And they say once you're a business connector, you're always a connector, and I can't stop it. Like even this week, I sort of like being messaging the CEO of the hospital that saved my life, and just getting some messages of positivity out there. So yeah, that's it. As I say, I've written a book called "Didn't Anyone Ever Tell You It's All a Game?" So there's the book, and that is kind of like an ambition of a 7-year-old lad who wanted to write a book and 50 years later achieved his ambition.
That's incredible.
Fantastic.
That's a quick bit about me. West Brom season ticket holder, but you don't want to know that. Got a very strong faith, and got a good feeling and appreciation for life, because it could have easily been taken away from me.
And you can hear that passion in your voice.
That's amazing, isn't it, Victoria?
It's a hint of it.
I'm a lucky guy. I'm blessed. I've had an amazing surgeon. I've had bowel cancer, and it was diagnosed on the the 17th of June. You think about where I'm at now. I'm 9 weeks out of surgery, and it was only diagnosed in June. Our NHS. I am just not worthy. These people are just magnificent. And I took some chocolates the other day to the ward. I've told the CEO, I'm posting on LinkedIn, and I just want people to understand that, I'm not alone. There's so many other people out there. So despite what our Prime Minister might be saying, or other people at the NHS is broken, it's got challenges, there's no doubt about it. But I'll tell you something. Oh, it's magnificent.
Wow, we got loads of questions for you. I'm just going to quickly go to some of the people here. Mark, while I'm doing that, you couldn't sign that book for me. I'd love a signed copy, mate.
Yeah, no problem at all.
Fit like folks, who's your dues? Busy day exhibiting yesterday. It's safe. A few people got to hook a duck with our stiffy tool. Yeah, interesting. Mark, thank you for that. Lovely to see you, says Alison. Andrew Billington says he's sorry he's late, but he's still here, so that's fine. Read your book 3 times. I'd need a copy of that.
She's
great
a
to see
big
Andy.
supporter. Jude as well. Oh,
yeah,
well,
look at that. They're all me. Right, let's have a copy of that book, man.
Okay, here we go.
You've signed it.
Yeah, I signed it. Yeah,
good. Pass it
to you. There we go.
Oh, thank you very much indeed.
Okay, you got that. Good.
I have. Look, and signed. You are a star. You are a star. Right, so we've got a little feature that we have each week. I don't know whose idea it was, but here we go. It's the word of the week. Come on. What's the word of the week this week?
So the word of the week was my topic this week. So it's apoplectic. Somebody in our networking group used it this week. And I was instantly reminded, as a child, my dad decided to fuse 2 words together when he was trying to explain how angry he was. So apoplectic means overcome with anger or furious. My dad used to merge it with apocalyptic. So we ended up with apoplectic. Actually, it wasn't until we had younger siblings where we just took this as gospel, the 3 of us. This is how angry he got. Isn't that a terrible word? We just believed him because he was the one that always sent us to the dictionary. And it was only when we had younger brothers that they said, I don't think that's a real word. They went to look, and sure enough, my dad had absolutely made up the 2 words. So one of the original is apoplectic.
When I read the description of the word, and obviously the description being furious, it automatically brings to mind the Pulp Fiction Samuel L. Jackson, I strike down upon thee with furious vengeance quote,
And with 3 children, that happens fairly regularly in this house.
Oh, I love this. I love this. This is better than Crackerjack.
At least he added the word Jack on the end.
Yeah, apoplectic. Andy, come on.
Yeah.
I guess you don't use that word, do you?
Not anymore. I used to use it sometimes in my banking life. Certainly as a parent, I can kind of like relate to that. But yeah, definitely apoplectic is a word that sort of like used to emerge when we used to do our what was called out of order lists every morning. So if you were a bank manager, you'd have an out of order list of the accounts that were out of order. Worst offenders, policemen, teachers, public servants, unfortunately. They used to be the ones who used to go the most overdrawn and used to send me apoplectic at times when they told me that they weren't going to spend money, and then they did.
There we go. That's brilliant. Thanks ever so much indeed. Right, so you've brought your fan club with you today, Lo.
Oh, absolutely. Kerry Davis. Oh, Kerry features in the book. Kerry features in the book.
Right.
Hey.
Chapter 40. Oh, Kerry, love you to bits.
He even knows what chapter look.
Yeah, absolutely. So, one of the reasons I wanted to get you on is this positive mental attitude that you've got, Andy, and how you are kicking the ass of cancer, because it's a nasty disease. We know that, but you've just turned it around. So come on, tell us a little bit about how your mindset is and how you're doing it.
No problem at all. My mum died of bowel cancer, and cancer dominated her. She let it absolutely take her. And my best friend, he died as well with cancer. And, you know, after a very, very long battle, it was no surprise that really, you know, the cancer took over his mind as well. And I don't blame him because he'd gone through so much. But I've had these experiences up close and personal, and I've just been determined right from the off. From the moment me and Catherine sat in the room on the 17th of June with the nurse, and the nurse said, my experience tells me that this is not good and that you need to get this out of your system. And I've just sort of like said, right, that's it. I am not going to accept that this is going to own me. It's not going to own my mind. I'm going to do everything that I can to beat it. Quick funny story. I will not use bad language, but I was swearing at it and using all sorts of profanities in my head. So about a week after my diagnosis, I was on the train, and you probably can guess what's coming. I was sat next to a lovely old lady. And in my head, I was sort of like doing the mantra to the cancer. And out it came. You know, the profanity. So the little old lady who was sat next to me, I looked at, and she looked at me horrified, and I said, oh, I'm really, really sorry. And she said, she held my hand and she said, don't worry, love, we've got one of you in our family as well. And so I thought, oh, right, okay, what, you know, but that was it. I let it go. I just let it go. The positive mental attitude, I believe that every 50% of the battle is fought in the mind. And I know from my experience being in hospital, being treated, people like Kerry Davis, who's on here now, you know, the strength of the mind of people who battle illness gives them longevity. And I want longevity. So I believe that every time that I have a negative thought, or I have a thought that, you know, cancer's really starting to win here, I just turn it around and I just look at it from a totally different viewpoint. I call it a bully. I get it out into the open. You know, bullies do not like the light. They do not like being outed. So I out it and I talk to it and I tell it and I say to it, I say, you are not welcome here. You know, very clearly.
It's very admirable. There was a thing on the news a few weeks back. Is it Giselle, one of the supermodels? I probably got the wrong name. Where she confessed that she had had cancer, but she ignored something like 30 odd doctors' advice to have chemo, and instead went for alternative therapies. And you know, it'd be interesting to see your thoughts on that as someone who has had treatment.
Yeah, it's Elle Macpherson, and so. I've read all the articles. I've had all sorts of people talk to me about alternative therapies and stuff like that. I'm at a point where, you know, when I was working in the bank, if you wanted to know about finance, you came to me, and I was the professional. With medicine, I am not the professional. My surgeon, Mr. Waterland, I am not worthy. He's the professional. You know, they put a robot on me. I had robotic surgery, and that to take the robot off after about 2 hours and then go back to old-fashioned knitting and surgery and stuff like that, like they do. But you know, for me, it's just very much a case of, if that's what they tell me I've got to have, I can't go with it because I do not know better than them. that's where I'm at. You know, I've got to practice what I preach. I used to say to people, you know, if you want to self-advise, that's fine, but you know, you live with the consequences. I'll take responsibility in the same way that the NHS are magnificently taking responsibility. You know, they put a poison in your system if you have chemo. They zap you with radiotherapy. Hey, I'll take whatever comes. 30th of September, I'll find out what the next stage is. But you know what? I'll take it. I'll
cross all our fingers for you.
Hey, I'll take it. I'll take it full on. You know, it's no problem at all. No problem at all.
This is resonating with people watching here. So I'm just going to quickly go back to the comments. Apoplectic is pure dead raging. Andrew Billington loves the flag. It's a weird one. It's one that his old headmaster used to talk about. John Reed, my hero. So you're his hero. Aaron Patrick, who's going to be a guest in a few weeks' time, is happy it's Friday because we've got a new show to celebrate.
Yeah.
Andy has one of the most positive outlooks on life, despite all of its complications and challenges. A true inspiration. That's from Kieran.
My godson.
Oh, bless.
Cancer is a worrying illness. I was diagnosed with prostate cancer in March 23 after my brother had been diagnosed the previous November. My wife was much more worried than I. However, positivity has been with me all my life, and I got treated in November 23. I've been clear for 10 months so far. Nice one, Andrew.
That's really good to hear. Well done, Andrew.
And what's the other one here? I've got radioactive seeds of gold in my prostate. Way to go. Way to go.
That's incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah. So go on.
And I was going to say, it's interesting because we talk so much about our positive mindset, but one of the things that tends to impact it is the influence of those around us. So understandably, your family would have been quite worried and struggling with the thought of it because they didn't have so much of the positivity and control that you had. How did you reassure family without kind of taking on as a load, and how did you do this journey together?
I think, you know, my wife's been alongside me throughout, Catherine. You know, she's been magnificent. And we're both sort of like fairly practical, pragmatic, realistic. At the time when I had the diagnosis, I didn't know how bad it was. Fortunately, it looks like they've caught it pretty early. And the only symptom I'd had was fatigue. I'd had no other symptoms other than that. And the surgeon said to me, you know, he said, the vast majority of people he sees, unfortunately, have left it far too late. I went to my GP because it just did not feel right. So I'd say to anybody, please, 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 you know, go and see your GP if you don't feel it's right, if you don't feel something is normal. Don't just assume that it's going to be okay. So my family have just been brilliant.
I just want to jump in here because we went to see a medium the other night. Okay. And she was telling us stuff that was in the room. And then my wife was talking to someone that went to see her at a previous time. And this medium turned around to this woman in the audience or something, or her friend or something, and said, someone's not well. Someone's not well. They're not happy about it. They're not getting the answers. They need to pursue it. And basically, it turns out that this guy, so a relative of this woman that was at the medium, he'd been going to the doctors and they couldn't find anything wrong with him, but he knew he wasn't right. Just like you just said, Andy, you knew you weren't right. And he said, look, I need a test. And basically, they found a tumor in his tongue. Oh. And I know. But all because of what this medium had said, that this person that they knew, or how I don't know how it all works. but I think your point there is, if you know something's not right, keep knocking on that door, keep banging those drums.
And the surgeon, Mr. Waterland, he said exactly that. You know, he said so many people will say, oh, a 60-year-old man, he's getting tired. He'll say to himself, it's just the pace of life. I'm getting old. I'm ready for retirement, and keep passing it off. And I just didn't. Kieran, who's appeared there, I was supposed to be at his wedding. I missed my godson's wedding. Oh, Kieran, I love you and Ellie so much. And I missed their wedding because of this. But again,
I'm sure you'd rather still have you around for life than
absolutely. But you know, again, one of the things that, you know, you sort of like think of is, well, I've got this coming up and I need to be right for this.
Yeah.
So I'll go and get some tablets off the doctor. The doctor was brilliant. She sort of like questioned me at length about how I was feeling. But going back to your original point, your original question about the family, I just sat them down. I sat the kids down, and I just said to them, I said, look, you know, I am going to do my level best to beat this, whatever it's going to bring, and we will stick together. We will be together. I'll tell you everything. I won't keep anything from you. We're going to be totally open. And if you've got any questions or concerns, don't look on Google. Please do not look on Google.
Oh my goodness, the online diagnosis is just the worst.
And again, you know, my surgeon said to me, he said, that again is part of the problem, because so many people go on Google. And I was reading something the other day as well, which was really disturbing. I posted on LinkedIn about it. I didn't realise, but you're 2.5 times more likely to take your own life if you have a cancer diagnosis than if you don't, than the rest of the population. So the effects can be absolutely huge. So that's why it's so important that at the very outset you get yourself to your GP. And the worst your GP is going to say to you is, "You're okay."
Yeah.
So I sat the kids down, and that was it. And then, you know, we just openly talked about it. They knew every single stage. As I say, they're adults anyway. They're not kids. They'll always be kids.
I was going to say, they would always
That's
be
what we were
children.
saying last week. I've got 2 sons in their 20s. I still refer to them as my boys. They'll always be my boys, you know.
Boys. Yeah.
You know, James is still Catherine's little soldier, you know, and he's 24 years old, you know. So
I think the alternative would be worse though if you started calling them your men. I think like their boys is fine. I think it's suited to that.
Well, my daughter's nearly 16, and I still call her baby girl, and she's just so used to it because she was the youngest of the family forever, you know, and so she's always been baby girl. Okay. So I'm loving all the chat about positive mindset there, Andy. That's really like resonating with people.
And that's so much in the book as well.
Yeah.
You know, I've tried to get people to understand that, you know, the subtitle of the book is Surviving and Sometimes Winning at Life. And I don't think we celebrate survival enough.
No.
You know, there's so many people out there who will tell you what winning looks like and what you should be winning at, and you should be doing this and you should be doing that. But actually, for 95% of our lives, we just survive. We have these occasional lovely victories along the way, and we've got to celebrate those. But on the front of the book, you'll see that it's sort of like snakes and ladders. The book, by the way, the cover was designed by the daughter of a friend of ours who was an art student at the time. And I sort of like sat in the garden during COVID and emptied my brain to her, and she designed that. So I'm really, really proud of that, because I think
shout out to her.
Yeah, shout out to her. So she goes absolutely right. Chiefy Arts, that's her title. Google that, but don't Google disease or anything like that. Go to your doctor first. But yeah. So the book has got many chapters in there about positivity. Chapter 17 is all about the dark art of the interview and telling your story. Because again, I don't believe that we give our young people, particularly, enough coaching at school, in college. I don't think there's enough help out there to help them to tell the story effectively and to actually be able to.
Oh, what happened there? That was nothing. He's come back. He's coming back in. We stopped him mid-flow. What did you do?
I didn't do anything.
You wanted a quick break.
I just windmilling, you know, so it was a windmill. So.
Andy, as we're talking about the book, didn't you mention earlier when we were chatting before the show that you might have a special offer?
Oh, absolutely. So this show's going out live, and it's also going out on a replay. So for the next week until next Thursday, if anybody buys a book, whether it's from me, whether it's from Troubadour, my publishers, from Amazon, whichever way, DM me on LinkedIn. send me a copy of the receipt so I know that you've done it, and then I'll put everybody into a prize draw, and the winner, who I'll probably get Mrs. Mullaney to do a sort of like Debbie McGee and select it and pick it out. So the winner will get not only a signed copy of the book with a personal message for a friend of theirs, and I'll pay for the postage and that, but more importantly, they'll get an hour's free mentoring, and I'll be delivering that to whoever they want, whether it's them, a friend, a colleague. It could be a gift. It could be to a charity. Make use of my knowledge, my experience, my contacts, my connections. Yeah. But I want to help somebody out there. Okay, so that's the offer. Buy the book. Buy the book. Send me a receipt if you want to buy it from me. Hey, just DM me, and then we'll announce the winner, and I'll let you know next Friday.
Perfect. Sounds like a plan. Fantastic.
Awesome. Thanks for that. I've just got the link there for Amazon, but it's cool. Didn't anyone ever tell you it's all a game? We got loads and loads of comments today, which is fantastic. So keep them coming in. And if anyone's got any questions for our guests, then please do. Andrew was saying, I can't even pronounce that, but he had to take female hormones to reduce his testosterone. So he's gone through the menopause. And he also says that his wife hates his positivity. And meanwhile, Alison's husband hates her positivity. And I'm living in the same house because my wife despairs of my positivity. So how does your family cope with your positivity, and Andy?
Yeah, I think I've always been a bit bouncy and a bit sort of like, glass half full. So I think after 37 years of marriage, by the way, 37 years of living with me, fair play to Catherine, salute. I couldn't do what she does. I think she's gone out at the moment and gone to go and take the credit card for a walk or something. So that's how she copes. She's good. She's gone away for a couple of hours now, and then the kids again. I think some of it rubs off onto them. I hope it does. And when you've been a West Brom supporter for 54 years, like I have, you've got to you either go down and you're sort of like forever holding your head in your hands, or you're sort of like reasonably. It could be a year this year, and it could be.
Going back to you touched on the children. Obviously, they're not children now; they're in their 20s. But I love how you've handled that. So when my children were young, as in sort of my boys were 4 and 6, one of my brothers passed away.
You do not look old enough, by the way, to have children in the 20s. So,
but we made a very conscious decision that we would talk to them on their level and explain things. So we didn't want to scare them, but we just kind of said, well, this has happened, and explained it in a very basic way. But I don't believe in lying to children. And if you tell a child that so and so's gone off to heaven, whilst you might believe that can also scare them and cause all sorts of trauma and problems. So it's really admirable to have that open and honest conversation with the kids, and you raise better human beings for it. I honestly believe that.
I genuinely believe that. They don't come with an instruction manual, and neither do we. And I think that's a point that you gradually keep learning from the mistakes that you make as you go along. I think one of the things I've tried to highlight in my book, in the introduction, to talk a little bit about my life as a younger person, is really to say, I've tried my level best with what I was given. What I was given was from people who were in there. My mum and dad were born during the war. They experienced massive poverty. They experienced considerable hardship, and so did I as a child. And so consequently, you tend to sort of, you have to go with some of the values that they give you.
Yeah.
And in the main, they gave me the right ones. They were very, very good.
you won't know this.
Things that they did that and said that were quite damaging as well.
It's interesting you touch on that with like the wartime stuff, and you won't know this about me, but I have a passion for the 1940s, and for me it is about the mindset and the make do and mend and the morale and how people coped and sort of, you know, that just whole lifestyle. Like my granddad is 93 and like he grew up in London during the Blitz, so the stories from him, like I absolutely adore him, and that, you know, they're amazing stories, but it is a completely different mindset to how people got by and survived then to now. That's part of the reason we went to Normandy earlier in the year for the 80th anniversary, you know, to celebrate those that gave so that we could be here today.
Absolutely. I think what's quite interesting about my childhood and mine and my wife's, we're both the same age. We grew up. So I'm sorry, there's somebody hammering on my door. Just bear with me.
Just go.
I like how the camera's zoomed in to the.
Yeah, absolutely. To find out who's at the door.
Obviously, I'm referencing the 40s, but it's that mindset, having that positive mindset and that attitude. It makes such a difference.
I've ordered my book and it's been delivered. No.
Fantastic. That is very quick service.
Sorry about that. He just wouldn't give up. So I was born in 64. My wife was born in 64. My memory of the 1970s is one of real hardship, one of real strife, difficulty. The world was great.
Three-day week, the electric strikes,
parties
the dustbin men,
candlelight, and all of this. Like the lowest moment was my mum crying because she had to open the best tin of salmon because that was all that we got left in the house to eat. Everybody had a best tin of salmon, but you know, that's it. I don't think they do now. My memory is real hardship, and my mum in particular crying because we hadn't got money and because it was difficult. My wife's memory is sort of like going out and playing and happy times and, you know, bags of crisps and pop and stuff like that. You know, we talk about it as though it was a totally different experience, which it was for us.
Yeah, it was.
It's how but it's how your parents, to some degree, will shape you. And you know, my mum and dad were amazing people. They did fantastic with what they'd got, but they hadn't got the knowledge of the world to help me to be the person that I now am. If that makes sense.
No, absolutely. I mean, our parents have such a huge impact in shaping the way that we see ourselves, the way that we interact with the world around us, and what we want out of it. How do you think that what you've gone through and the shared experience the experience that you and your wife had, a very different upbringing, how do you think that shaped things for your children, and has that been part of your positive mindset process?
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic question. It really is. Catherine has just been brilliant in terms of bringing the kids up. We were determined to try to ensure that for the first 7 or 8 years of the life that she was at home with them, and so that was something that we tried to do. And me, I was tunnel visioned with my career. I'll be honest with you. You know, I was totally addicted to my job, and the more addicted I got to it, funnily enough, the more money that we were earning, the better I was performing. And then I described the point in the book where I crashed. You know, I came up against a nemesis who was determined to break me, and I was never going to win. So that sort of like the breakdown was quite severe, but that again is something that I'm now grateful for, because that helped me to become a much better person, and actually I hope a nicer person as well, because I look back at some of the arrogance and some of the way that bloke was before. It wasn't necessarily nice at times.
No.
So positivity. There's a few people watching that are saying that they're positive and stuff like that. Have you always been positive, Andy?
No. We talk about glasses half full. My mum's glass was half empty and then some. You know, she was the seventh child of 8 in a two down house in West Brom. So she really did know hardship and felt pretty hard done to, I think. A lovely lady, don't get me wrong, and I miss her. She died 30 years ago, so I miss her to this day. But I don't miss the negativity that she instilled in me, and particularly, about my dad's job. My dad was the insurance man who used to come around knocking on the door, collecting the money.
Which company?
Prudential. So
right, okay.
He was the man from the Prud.
Yeah, well, I did the same, but it was I worked for a different company, but it's an absolutely amazing job. I loved it. I loved it because you go around and you see everybody every week. It was brilliant.
He did, and he was a people person, but he was totally opposite to my mum. So you get the chance to share people's lives and get close to them, and so I was a very negative person when I was younger. Once I started work, and particularly started to forge, I think, some of my own identity. I started to really feel it and started to become the person I've always wanted to be. But it still took some time and some bumps on the road. I think the last sort of 7 or 8 years is where I've probably become the person I want to be. And I'm particularly pleased with where I'm at now. I can see your lad in the background, Odessa.
Yeah, what is he like? Odessa, do you want to go and nail his feet to the floor?
I feel like
again?
we're doing a welfare check at the moment. He's just trying to make sure, A, I'm alive, and B, can I have something to eat?
Yeah, absolutely.
On that note, Andy, I want to know which is your best decade. So for me, I'm in my early 40s.
No!
Yes, thank you. I'm not that old.
I won't buy that.
But for me, like my 40s, although have been the most transformative so far, but also they have been my best. So I've gone through a lot in the last couple of years, but it's been a hell of a journey, and certainly I'm finding that I'm enjoying this decade much more than the previous two, for different reasons. So I'm curious, what's been your best time for you?
I would say probably between the ages of probably 42, 43. So you're going into 2007, and probably up to 2020, the pandemic. Those were probably golden years. The best year was 2019 for me, in terms of us as a family and being able to do things and spend time together. The best years career-wise definitely were 2005 to probably 2012. But personally, in terms of impact and in terms of becoming the person I want to be, definitely from the time that I got the secondment to business in the community, right through to now.
Incredible.
You've picked them all.
Shall I give you a random fact?
If you notice, the first 40 years of kind of like sort of, and that's learning. That's where you learn.
I'll give you a random fact. The first lockdown in 2020, we went into lockdown on my 39th birthday. So it was like, happy birthday, you can't see anyone. But no.
Did you do anything for your 40th?
We did it on the 41st.
Right, okay.
We postponed it and had it a year later, and I had a 1940s themed afternoon tea party.
Awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
When you talk about lockdown and the impact of lockdown, that again is sort of like something where I found that time quite difficult for a whole variety of reasons. But I do genuinely believe that the people who are steering the ship at the top of our country, and I'm not going to get political, but they are on a mission to talk everything down and have been seemingly since around the time of the pandemic. There's even now there doesn't seem to be a feel-good factor about the place. And I know that it's difficult to create that during a pandemic, and we'd never been through it before, but I'd like to think that we'd approach it in a much more positive way than perhaps we did the last time. And certainly things like, we talked about the NHS being wonderful. I'd love our leaders to be able to, instead of saying it's broken, to be able to say, aren't they doing a fantastic job? There are aspects of it that are challenging, but my goodness me, we're winning some big battles.
Absolutely.
Political rant over.
One of the few good things I found with the pandemic was it actually made us stop and spend more time together as a family. We're a very active family and we're always out all the time and doing lots of things. And so, especially my middle son at the time was going through A levels. So it was quite nice to actually have the kids home and, you know, spend quality time together. And I know that wasn't always the case for everyone else. And, you know, there can be a lot of tensions in families and a lot of personality clashes. But I found we were quite blessed in that respect because we got some quality time with our children. We used to do a weekly, it's going to give it away, a weekly Zoom call amongst my wider family. And we would do like a pub quiz on Zoom.
Yeah, I don't think that there's a family or a group of friends in the UK that did not do a pub quiz at some point during the lockdown. We had a weekly one. Anyone in the comments, please let us know if you did the pub quizzes, because I'm pretty sure that most of us relied on that as what can we do? Let's do a pub quiz. That was my birthday. The timing was impeccable. Andy, how do you remain positive on maybe darker days? And are there any tips of what you think people can do, regardless of what they're facing, that they can do to remain positive?
I'm really glad you asked that, because that's something that has probably cropped up in my mind over the last sort of like week or so. I had a bit of a blip because I overdid it physically. My brain says go. The body says, yeah, great, let's go. And then the next
instant
day,
regret.
Why did you do that? Yeah, you know, why did you do that? I've got very little core strength at the moment, and so I find it difficult, like getting out the car and walking and stuff like that. But I'm trying to do it. It's finding your limits. I've got strong faith. You know, I've got a very strong faith. I believe totally that, you know, there is. We're here for a purpose. We're here for a reason, and things are meant to be. So that's one way. I definitely try to find and seek out people who are positive. So like I've just been talking to my cousin before I came on here. You know, he lives down in London. Wonderful guy. Again, you know, it's getting these people into your circle and not overwhelming yourself with negativity. So, you know, do you turn around and go, oh, I've had a cancer diagnosis, so devastating, you know, and then everybody just wants to pile sympathy on you, and it's a sympathy pile on, and then you can't fight your way out of it? Or do you go, hey, I've had a cancer diagnosis, but you know what? I'm gonna beat it. And it's looking at it like that. I think I think definitely as well, you know, counting my blessings. I've had a pretty good crack at this life, and I've got more to give and more to do. But you know, Kerry Davis, who's on here, who you'll read about in my book, you know, Kerry is one of my inspirations. If I have a bad day, well, with what Kerry's puts up with, and all she wants to do is do more, well, I'm pretty sure that I can have a better day. And if I've got a sore throat, well, hey, so what?
Yeah. He says. Folks, we didn't add that afterwards. That was live. It's amazing to understand, or to, I think, if we think about those experiences in practice or in theory, this could never happen to me, or this could happen, how would I cope with it? But it's amazing to see the spirit of resilience that occurs when you do surround yourself with positive people, when you do take a choice to have that positive mindset. So I think that's a really important point, is that it is a choice how we respond to the various trials and difficulties that we have in life.
Yeah, I think one of my chapters, chapter 47, is resilience and bounce back ability. And I'll talk about a couple of people who I knew, one of whom I mentored, who had a brain tumour. You know, her and their ability to bounce back is an example to all of us, you know. And then really, I think, you know, going on to chapter 48, So I know all these chapters, and I've got the book in front of me here. But energy terrorists, toxic friends, the psycho boss, and a few time thieves. We've all got those, and we've all had some of that in our life. Really trying to tell you how to avoid those. So that we get positivity in our lives, and we don't surround ourselves with people who are going to sort of pile on negativity. Time thieves. How many time thieves have you got? How many people have you got who just steal your time?
Just 5 minutes. Is it all right? Just 5 minutes. That's all I want. And
Yeah.
15 minutes later.
15 minutes is a good one.
I'm on a show. I'm on a show at 12 o'clock. I have to go.
Yeah.
Can I have a word? No, I actually want 10,000, but you know.
And how did you decide? Because in those moments, you obviously identify that there are people who are adding value to life and people that are taking the value away. How did you recognize that enough was enough and that something needed to be done? And how did you go through that process of detaching yourself from those individuals? Because I know there's a lot of people I speak to who feel like they're carrying a lot of this negativity behind them, and they'd like to be able to get rid of it. So what was the process for you? Because obviously being a positive person, nobody wants to do it. So how did you navigate that experience?
I think there's a couple of things. If you go back over your career, then the older you get, the more in control that you are to some degree. And so I was able to sort of like accept that I could take another step up the ladder if I wanted to and try and get that. But what is the price of that? And the price could be absolutely huge. And in finance, I can tell you now, it would have been my sanity again, and I wasn't prepared to compromise on that. There are some people who, you have a very small number of friends and a number of acquaintances, and it's whether the acquaintances become friends, whether you want to bring them into your circle, or whether you just want to kind of like maintain them at a distance. I try to be friends with everybody. So I bumped into somebody the other day in the local shopping centre, and he said to me, he says, "Andy, you've got to look after yourself. Stop worrying about me and my wife and that." Which was lovely of him to say that. But I think you've got to be very, very conscious about your time. Ruthless with time, courteous with people. And that's the phrase that I was taught. Ruthless with time, courteous with people. And if you can say to somebody, you know what, you want 5 minutes, I want to give you 10, but I haven't got 10 minutes to give you now. So let's put a date in the diary. Let's do that.
Yeah. It sounds like it's been quite a powerful journey with boundaries as well, knowing what you can and can't take on.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think, you learn a lot during your career. And I learned so much being working for the bank. Learned a lot about myself. And I was blessed. I had some amazing opportunities. But I think you tend to find that you do get to a place where you go, I am capable of doing this, but I'm not capable of doing that, or I am capable of doing it, but I don't want to do it. It's almost like going through a bit of a Johari window, which we've kind of like got here, haven't we? But it's almost like kind of like going through that. Getting yourself a good mentor as well is really important. And I've been blessed and privileged to have had some amazing mentors, people around me.
How long have you been mentoring, Andy?
Probably about 20 years in total. Probably started. It was probably about 22 years ago when I was one of the area managers down in the Cotswolds, and then somebody just said to me, would you mind mentoring me? And I said, yeah, no problem at all, because I've always had a mentor. And then it sort of like went from there. So I then had several other people who came. I do most of it. I've done for kind of like free really over the years. Certainly within the bank, and then externally. I sort of like have not really felt comfortable in charging some people because I just want to give back.
I first had a mentor about 3 years ago. I've had a couple of great mentors, and I've been very lucky with that. And I've had a mentor through the Access to Work scheme.
Yeah.
But also, I've mentored myself for about almost 2 years now with the Help to Grow. And it is really rewarding giving back and helping others, and just seeing that, especially when, like with the Help to Grow scheme, you're on a 10-week journey with them. So or 10 hours. So as you work through that and you see where they are at the beginning to where they are at the end, it's really nice to make a difference. And
I mean, don't get me wrong. I will. I do some work with companies, and I'll make sure that they pay the rate that I feel is applicable for my services. But certainly, there are a number of individuals, particularly in the third sector, who I feel deserve a lot more support than perhaps they receive. And I just want to encourage people and just want to get people, feeling good about each other and feeling good about the world.
We love a bit of positivity.
We do.
And this has been absolutely fantastic. We're almost to the top of the hour, Andy. What haven't we asked you that we should have done today?
Oh, crikey. I don't know. Headlines. My book has raised £1,100 for charity because I donate 50% of everything I make from the book. So we've done that. I've told you about West Brom. We're not allowed to talk. We're not allowed to talk about football on this show because I support Leeds.
Of course you do.
My first memory of life being bathed in a tin bath in front of the fire after the dog. So that was. I've probably added the dog for effect, but definitely.
Yeah, I totally get that. Well, it depends on how old you were in the pecking order in the family, because that was it. They fill the tin bath up, mum and dad have a bath, and then the kids get in, don't they? So not at the same time, because it wasn't a very big tin bath.
And there were rules against that.
Yeah, not back then. Then weren't.
There weren't.
So Andy, you've been an absolutely fantastic guest today. Victoria, have you got a last question for Andy?
Not a question. I just want to thank you for coming on and sharing your story with us and your journey. I think it's something that's really resonated with our listeners today.
Brilliant. And there's some people out there that I sent invites out to, and to all of you and everybody who's out there who's listened or watching on replay or however you're doing it. Link up with me on LinkedIn. Let me know your thoughts. It'd be great to just connect with some people. Buy the book if you want, but thank you for your time today. The three of you have been absolutely brilliant. You brought the best out of me, and I want you all to have a great weekend.
It's because you're wearing pink. That's what it is.
Yep.
Odessa, have you got any last questions for Andy?
the only thing that I'm intrigued by is what do you feel has been your biggest personal achievement? So what have you got out of this experience that you feel has been your biggest achievement? So the book is great, and that's one side of things, but what have you personally got out of the experience?
I can answer that very, very easily. Raising two kids who are now adults who are in the world. They're good people, they're kind people, and they make a difference to the lives of others, and I'm incredibly proud of them.
Amazing.
And the name of the book is "Didn't Anyone Ever Tell You?"
It's all a game.
It's all a game. So we've had some lovely comments on the show today. So thank you very much to everybody for all of your lovely comments. It's absolutely fantastic because we don't know what we're doing. It just seems like a Zoom call, but we've got all these people coming in and putting all their lovely comments.
Thank you, everyone.
Jude is saying, lovely to see you. You're always such an inspiration. She's talking to you, Andy.
Fellow author ambassador Kerry Davis.
Kerry is saying, well done as well. And Andrew Billington is saying, thank you, Andy. Guys, thank you so much for being on the show. We are back next week. We've got another guest next week.
We do, don't we?
Yeah. Who is it then? I know, because I've got it here. We've got lovely Jane Tarrant coming in next week. She's going to teach us how to breathe. So looking forward to having a chat with her. And we will also be talking about her post that she did on LinkedIn the other week that got me in trouble last week. So thank you very much, Andy.
Can you get
You've
yourself
been
in
a
trouble on your own?
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much, everyone.
We do
Thank
have
you.
an outro, so it's here somewhere if it works. Cheerio, everybody. See you next week. Thank you for your comments. Bye-bye now.
Care.
There we go. That's the end of another show. Thank you so much for listening. And if you enjoyed it, please subscribe, start downloading, and tell everybody else that you like this podcast. If you want to reach out, if you've got any questions, I'm always on LinkedIn. I'm the 15-minute guy. You can find me dead easy. It's Ashley Leeds. And you can find me on my website at www.just.15mins.day. And on there, you'll find loads of free resources and ways to contact me and book a meeting with me. So thank you very much for listening. See you next time. Bye-bye.